Tyrod Taylor is not filing a grievance against the Los Angeles Chargers for taking a golf tee and stabbing him in the lung moments before a game began against the Kansas City Chiefs, which inevitably led to this Justin Herbert run, which we have all been incredibly impressed by. He's not filing a grievance. I assume that he was told by other people, like, that's going to be a tough grievance to file because medical stuff. And if I've never got this shot, but other people who have gotten this shot in the past told me that they have been informed that you could potentially have this happen. Go back to that tweet sheet. Let's read it. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN says, coming out of Tyrod Taylor's injection mishap with Chargers, the NFLPA is working on changing protocols for how and when players can receive pain-killing injections, per source. A welcome step for players. Yeah, Jeremy Fowler, you have no fucking idea about that. Rap sheet first on Taylor opting against filing a grievance against. Like Jeremy Fowler says, a welcome step for the players. Like, I appreciate that the players he talked to might have told him that, right? But he's insinuating here that all players would be like, yeah, let's change how the pain-killing injections and all that stuff go. And that shot that has to happen 15 minutes before the game because of how long it lasts for the entire game time. Like, I would assume that Jeremy Fowler has not spoke to all players that do this, because I have not reached out to current players, but I have reached out to previous players that have had to go through this stuff. And I said, hey, how would you feel about them getting rid of some of the pain-killing stuff and the pill stuff and changing the way it all works? And a lot of guys said, well, I wouldn't have been able to play probably 8-9 games a year if I had to do that or something like that. It's like, all right, by the way, sad that that's the case, but that's just reality of what football is. That's reality of what the NFL is. You have the incredibly talented doctors around in NFL facilities. Now, from what we've learned, I guess some teams have terrible doctors. I mean, I did not know that at the Colts we had great people, so I always felt very comfortable. But the NFL, whenever we heard about the Tyrod Taylor situation and whenever more people spoke about it, I think a lot of people learned about the amount of stuff that is used for players to get to game days and how guys play. And it might not have been necessarily the most fun stuff to learn about, but that's reality. So when Jeremy Fowler says, oh, that's a welcome step for players to change the entire process, that whole thing, I'm assuming that the NFLPA is saying that's a welcome step, and maybe some players that aren't into it. But I assume there is a lot of players in the NFL that are like, I'm cool with it. And if you guys take a golf tee to my lung, like, I'm not going to be happy about it. But, like, let's get to the game. Let's play. And let's try to make this career as profitable as possible. So I respect what Fowler was saying. I respect what the NFLPA is probably saying, because that's the right thing saying for the health and safety of the players so that this Tyrod Taylor situation never happens again. But I don't think that is anywhere near what actual reality is. But also, I could be wrong. I've been out of the game now for 3-4 years. It might be an entirely different generation, so I might be completely full of shit. But I'd assume some things will remain the same.
How common is it for guys to file grievances against the teams that they're still currently on? Like, with the Jaguars, wasn't that mostly guys who weren't currently on their roster?
No, if guys get fined by the team for a certain reason. I was asked to file a grievance against the Colts when I got fined and suspended for my thing or whatever, like asked if I wanted to. So I think, now granted, we were told, that the teams aren't allowed to hold it against you.
Mm-hmm.
But
they do.
It's like the optional workouts, right?
Yeah.
They're optional, but
yeah, it's like the voluntary workout.
Yeah.
Okay, you're dealing with humans here. Humans remember things. So, I mean, unless they're just that level of businessmen, that there's some business people out there, and I think I've met a couple of them where they could hate somebody fully. And if business makes sense, they'll get over it and do business with the person. And I'm just not sure that there's a lot of people like that. I'm not like that. Like, if I hate somebody, I don't want to do business with you. But there's those people that are at the upper echelon of business. They find a way to bury their grudges and be like, hey, things happen. Let's go do what's best for business. And I would assume there's some people that do that. But if you file a grievance against your team and your contract is coming up, they will automatically remember that if I had to guess. So that whole process of the NFLPA and the NFL relationship is very interesting. Feels like a lot of people potentially got their hands in a cookie jar.
whoa, ho, ho, ho.
It's hard. It's hard for the people that have their hands in the cookie jar to make decisions that could potentially affect the cookie jar. You know what I mean?